Hey there guys, and welcome back. So if you have been watching this live, we did have a couple weeks break here. Let's go ahead and look at the readme. So last was 10.7 and we're now at 10.24 in real time. So yeah, a couple weeks of no updates because of everything that's going on. But we are back with another update to LiteLike. And this update was mostly for the maps, as you can probably tell by demo map, map demo, etc, etc, etc. Again, that's what we were working on before. Didn't really change gears too much. So let me kick you on over to VS Code rather, and we will go through the changes in this update. And I just lost GitHub. Where'd you go? There we go. All right, so let's see where to start. I guess the first major change isn't even on the map. You know what? Yeah, let's start at the map demo. That's probably the best place to start. So map demo, I'm gonna skip that demo map for a second. I'm pretty sure I was going to delete this and for whatever reason did not. So demo map.json probably should be deleted, but we'll come back to that later. Map demo.js and map demo.js. Right, okay, so I'm gonna just briefly touch on this. As you can see, I added an inventory box here. I wanted to have the inventory pop-up appear on this page as an option. It won't really do much in our current scenario aside from showing you items you picked up as you're traveling the map. But I wanted to at least have it because that's an integral part of what we'll be doing in the future. So I kind of wanted to have the overlay inventory up there. As you can see, it's positioned to absolute, and we have a relative parent here. That's important because this will pop up over top of hopefully everything else. Have not actually coded that much in because, again, have not actually gone there as it's a minor part to it, but I at least wanted to point out that we got that partially implemented, and most of what we got done is down bottom, which is line 48 right here, handle key press. So we got wandering around the map done is basically the big accomplishment this session. I don't know, that doesn't sound like much, but at the very least we did. So as you can see, we get a key and then we check this key bindings.key directions, and I'll circle back to that in just a second. Obviously, if it is valid, then we're going to go ahead and toss it into the player queue. The player queue works exactly like the combat player queue and etc. and the colony player queue, etc. So no real surprises there. And then we have the hotkey bindings for the inventory. That is what it is. And as you can see, we just toggle the inventory on and off when that happens. And then down here, we have callbacks for key up and move. The move is on the map object, and that is obviously the callback that gets called after a successful move. Not any move, but a successful move. So only when the move actually causes a change on the map will we reload the map. Key up, obviously, we just went over, so no explanations there. And then I have this map lock, which is important because we won't always have the map focused. Unlike, for example, the colony. The colony should run in the background even when we don't have it focused at all. The map should not. The map should not have anything happening on it when we are not focused on the map. Therefore, I implemented this map block so that we can stop the map loop from triggering when we are not actually on the map. And then obviously the move loop, just like every other demo. Easy peasy. So let's go over and look at the key bindings. Now, it occurred to me towards the end of this session, you know, at the end of the second hour, as you can see here, I make a note that we, where do I make it? Okay, actually, I don't see it written down, but I could have swore at one point I made a note saying that we were hard coding the key bindings, and I think I actually want to change that. So right now, all we're looking at is this key directions. You know, for example, over here on the map demo, we look at key directions, and that's all we look at. I think I want to actually change that and put a hotkey object onto the game object load that from file, and then basically combined the hotkey object with update, rather, I guess it should say, update the key bindings with the hotkey object so that we have a custom key binding for it. And the reason I would like to do this, because again, the original intention was once we have this game built to actually play it on stream with the arcade controller. So in order to play it on stream with the arcade controller, I'm probably going to have to do some key binding, and therefore my original intention of just having this all hard-coded in is not necessarily going to work. But this is what we have now. We have all the keys bindings here that we have set up so far. So that is that. Let us move on to I don't want to do character just yet. But minor change right here. So game over here in game, new player now starts with a transport. That was important because I started to do the map and we did not have a transport. So that was not very useful. Since we didn't have a transport, we couldn't subtract gas and fuel. I mean, not gas and fuel, but fuel and, oh, it's reactor power. I believe it's reactor power is what the resource is. But now that we do have a transport as default on the character, we will never run into that situation. I'm going to click this really quick and get this set up so that we can look at the demo when we get done with the changes. And then, now that that's loaded, let me hop on over to, let's see, we did key bindings, map.js. Yeah, I guess map.js makes sense. So, over here, as you can see, I set up map actions. So again, just like the combat actions and the colony actions, same exact idea. We want to make it, we're just making kind of this data object to just contain the actions taken by the player on the map. Easy peasy. One of those things, just replicating what we did on the other ones, just so that we're consistent. Don't necessarily need to be that, strictly speaking, but consistency is pretty good. A consistent code style, I should say, is pretty good for production. So right here, I evidently missed move. So evidently I had, oh no, you know what it was? It wasn't I missed move. I did miss move, but I had, this is funny. I could have swore when I had to change this to start move, move, and end move, that's what it was before, and now it's this, obviously, with the start and end at the end. I could have swore I made this change and this was wrong, but GitHub is saying it's not. So either I went crazy and changed it to start move, start and end move, and then changed it back afterwards. I realized that may have been what happened. I may have just gone crazy. So regardless, we'll keep on scrolling. In the move loop, obviously, as I suggested, we have this map lock. So if the map is locked, then we just quit while we're ahead. We just go back, set the loop ID back up, and wait for the next timeout. Otherwise, we have these moves. Now, technically speaking, a player could make multiple moves in a 1/16 of a second period. We are only going to take the first move. So, as you can see right here, if moves that length, then we handle the moves and only the first move. This right here is just sorting out the map actions. We would sort out the map actions if necessary. Unfortunately, right now we only have move as a map action. Originally, I did put inventory in here, but I realized that was a bad idea and not really appropriate, so I did not have an inventory action as a map action. So that is that. And let's see. Down here in handle move. This used to be a queue. We used to handle multiple moves at once. And then, well, we used to accept multiple moves at once. And then find out what the highest index move was. Which is to say, on this list of directions, we would prioritize north, east, south, and west. And then only use the one that has the highest priority. So even though we were accepting a whole list of moves right here, we were still going down to one. So I decided to eliminate that whole entire silly procedure and then just go moves 0. So this is no longer a list. This is just a single direction. And we make sure to curse it into an actual direction symbol, again, which is right here, northeast, southwest. The rest of this should be the same. I'm pretty sure I had the rest of that set up correctly. It looks like I am correct. And down here, okay, so it looks like I did. Where is All right, so yeah, GitHub is saying that I did have end move right here, and I'm guessing I also had start move. Let me see if I can't find that, if I just missed it. Okay, it actually is not saying that I did, but evidently I had end move here, and I changed this to move end. And probably because I saw end move here, I went up here and changed this to end move as well. That's what I was discussing earlier. So that was just a brain fart. Again, that was after several weeks away. So that was just very silly. Let's see. This dot trigger event. Move start. Where's that at? All right, so here down in move. So I had symbol evidently capitalized. It's saying that there was something changed here, but I'm not seeing the difference on the GitHub. Oh, yes I do. Okay, so this was again start move instead of move start. Was evidently the difference here. So that got corrected. And like I said, symbol I had capitalized instead of lowercase. I probably should get rid of this console.log right now. We're not going to need that. And let's see. This did end up being a tuple return. So we returned the direction that we ended up moving and whether or not it was successful or not, which would be true or null. So we changed the format of that. So if we come back up here to direction result here from this dot move, this used to just be, I assume, result. Yeah, it used to just be result, and now it is direction and result, just to make sure that we have the correct direction, that we're, all our wires are not crossed. Obviously, we do not actually do anything with that aside from log it right now, which again, I'll go ahead and delete that now because not necessary at this point because everything is working correctly. So. Down here in get map, I had to add this in because we may not have a mask. And this is funny. I thought we did this in the last session, but it's saying not, which is kind of weird. 196 to 197. So this right here. Oh, you know what? I know. This is, how I just deleted console.log. So I probably did this. I'm assuming I did this while I was doing the code review. I just, yes, I do recall doing that. When we were doing the code review, I went ahead and tossed that in there while I was explaining how this whole entire thing worked. And therefore, I'm seeing the change on this GitHub. Changes, history, etc. All right. We're going to stop by utils really quick before we get to the next important change. And utils over here in event listener, we just basically handled the situation in which events is not provided. So either null or empty events. Well, not empty events. That would actually still be truthy. But null, false, or undefined, we go ahead and set it to an empty object. And we did that because now I can go ahead and get to the real meat of it. I started to implement, did not actually get there, but characters.js up here. So I created this character which extends entity and then changed player character and combat character to take off of that. And the reason I did was because I wanted to implement an listener, an event listener for characters. Now in JavaScript there is no multiple inheritances. You can only go in a forward chain. Now, technically speaking, entity does not have anything in its chain. So we could do entity extends utils.event listener. We could do that. That's 100% valid. I just didn't very much like that solution because I wanted entity to be this very, very minimal construct. I really don't want to bog it down with the event listener stuff. And therefore, in order for player character and combat character to inherit both from entity and from event listener, this is what I ended up with. I have this character class which extends from entity. And then we actually create an event listener on ourselves and redirect our add event listener, remove event listener, and trigger event from us to the event listener. So that's kind of my hack, my workaround to have the character to be duck typed as an event listener, basically. So it effectively functions as an event listener, our event listener utils.event listener class. It effectively functions as that, but it's not actually that class. So I did that because, for example, over here on, well, two things. One, over here on map.js, obviously when we move, we have to subtract supplies here. So the reactor power and the, this is food, or repair bots. 0 is repair bots, I take it back. Food was, what do you call it? I want to call it Dangus Dungeon, but you know what I'm talking about. A dark room. There we go. Food was a dark room. So repair bots are a version of that in our mech that we're traveling the galaxy in. So because we're changing these, I want to be able to trigger on the player character an event that says that the inventory changed. And that becomes very relevant when we're traveling around the map because I need to have a callback to update the player's inventory on the map. So for example, on the overall map, we don't have it implemented right now, but I really should have a display saying at the top, this is your food and this is your repair bots. And when you run out of food or repair bots in the demo, you die. That in theory is how the demo should work. So because that needs to happen in the demo, I need to get a callback for whenever the food and what do you call it? Yeah, food and reactor power change in order to update the UI. And therefore, I'm going to be implementing the inventory change callback for that purpose. And the inventory change callback is also useful, can also be useful for combat. We'll just implement that when we get there. And that is, let's double check the GitHub. I think that is all the changes. So, again, demo map.json. I could have swore I deleted this and this was not a thing, but oddly it's still here. Map demo, we already talked about all that stuff. Character, I already got all that stuff. Game, key bindings, map, double check map that we didn't miss anything. Utils and readme. Alright, cool. So yeah, that is all the updates. Now just to hop on over to the LiteLike demo. Just let's see, preview, make sure we're on the right HTML page in the what do you call it? My live stream software. Map demo. Nope, wrong one. Let's see. Where are we at? Ah, there it is. All right, and push to live. So here we are, back on the demo. Just one quick note. Obviously, this is still working, even though I changed character a bit. I double checked this to make sure after I made my changes that this was still functioning, and it still is. I checked colony demo 2. Again, no problems there with the code I changed. And over here on map. So as you can see, one other thing I forgot to mention is I did get this formatted. And as far as I can tell, it's square. If I actually go into the inspect view, it actually just gives me auto as the square. And actually, do you see does it turn blue on? Yes, you do see it turn blue there. So when I highlight this in the, what is this called again? It doesn't actually have a label on this, but basically on the right hand side where it shows you margin, border, padding, and the center content, it just says auto, and I can't go to computed. I don't see it anywhere in computed for the actual width, unfortunately. So I can't confirm that this is definitely square, but as far as I can tell, I did get the all the CSS code correct for it to be square. And onto the main, as you can see, we can move around. And this moves around, if you noticed, in the key bindings with either WASD or arrow keys. So both of those work, and as you can hear, hopefully, maybe I'm banging away at the keys and nothing's going and breaking. So that's where we're at. Again, next thing to implement is resources. And along with that, to prevent you from running out of resources, I will implement a town so that you can stop at the town. And along with that town, I should also implement a house. Basically, I guess I should just do the house. The house is really the one I was thinking of. So we'll implement an event, which is a house event from a dark room. And one of those things, after you clear the house event the first time, then you can come back to that house on the map and restock your supplies. Again, we'll call it something else because this is not a dark room, but that is next up on the agenda, is to get the reactor power and repair bots up here so you can see where you're at and make sure you don't run out. If you do run out, kill you and end the demo, and furthermore, set up a house so you can go to the house, start an event, and then once you clear the event, you can come back and refill your supplies. So that is what is on the chopping block moving forwards. C obviously is the colony. I could also have you refill in the colony. That's certainly an option, which is not unreasonable. I just figured we wanted to get events in anyway, so I was just going to do the house event so that we had that implemented. But no reason why you can't, for example, have an house even in each of the corners, and then one of those things you can just make your way around and hit waypoints before you run out of supplies. So that is that. Yep, that is everything that I have to cover tonight. So as always, looking forward to completing this project. We are getting towards the end of it. One of those things, once the map demo is done, then it's really just a matter of tying all the demos together into one game with a unified UI, and then we should be good to go. So, any other announcements? I don't think so. Therefore, if you have been watching, thank you. And I hope you have a great and wonderful day, afternoon, or evening, wherever you're at in the world. And I will catch you next time.